The movie starts with a girl named Tessa. She wakes up from a dream and starts to pack her things to leave for the new college that she is going to study. She goes downstairs of the kitchen where we see her mother, Carol, and her boyfriend, Noah. Her mother and boyfriend decide to drop her to the college and they all head to the college. In the following scene, Carol, Noah, and Tessa drive through different city locations until they arrive at her new university. Once there, they navigate through crowded dormitory halls searching for Tessa's new room, B22. Upon entering, they encounter two girls listening to loud music. Tessa introduces herself to her new roommate Steph, who is vaping, and Steph then introduces Tessa to Tristan. These girls are evidently very sociable and chatty. Upset, Carol insists on changing rooms due to the smoke smell, and her concern that the girls may distract Tessa from her studies. Tessa reassures Carol that she's responsible and it won't pose a problem. After this, Tessa's mother leaves the college after giving a kiss and her boyfriend too. She returns to the room and Steph tells her brother is handsome. She corrects her by saying he is her boyfriend. Early in the morning, Tessa heads to her first class across campus and meets Landon outside a locked classroom. They are the first to arrive and are soon joined by a professor who opens the door for them. As they wait, they chat about their major subjects. That day, she is taking a shower in the dorm. Upon returning to her room in a towel and opening the closet door, she startles at the sight of a boy, sitting on Steph's bed reflected in the mirror. The boy claims to be in the right room, and continues to read book, unfazed by Tessa's surprise. She then asks him how he came in, and he shows the keys in response. When Tessa requests him to leave, he rebuffs her by stating that he has no interest in her. Steph arrives there and confirms that he is her friend. Steph then asks her to come with them at the party but Tessa not interested going out. The next day, Tessa is studying at a coffee shop on campus. Suddenly, 3 people come in, and one of them is the boy who was rude to her the last night. Tessa looks at the boy. He smiles a little bit, and they look at each other for a moment before he leaves with his friends. After that, Steph arrives there and tells her to join the part tonight. At first, Tessa refuses but at the end, she wears a beautiful dress and joins the party with them. At the party, Steph introduces Tessa to her friends. There they ask Tessa to drink which she initially refuses, but takes a swing after they started to make fun of her. They all agree to play a game called Truth or Dare. Tessa picks Truth and she is being asked to share where the craziest place was that she ever had a romantic moment. She didn't want to answer that question, so she chose Dare instead. However, things take a turn when one of the guys in the group, who has a bit of a reputation as a troublemaker, approaches Tessa and asks if she's up for it. Tessa, no longer interested in the game, promptly walks away from the situation. After ending the call with her boyfriend who scolded her for drinking, Tessa wandered into an empty storage room and gazes at the books on the shelves. Suddenly, the bad guy from their group appeared and asks her what she was searching for. Tessa is nervous, but he assures her that he doesn't drink alcohol like her. He disclosed that the room was his and grasped her hand. He inquired whether their dare was still in play, as they are on the verge of kissing, but she abruptly departs after confessing her inability to continue. As she made her way back to her room, she receives multiple text messages from her boyfriend, Noah, which continued until bedtime. The following day, she attends class and sits next to the same individual, Landon. It is later uncovers that the individual she encountered at the party is also a newcomer, by the name of Hardin Scott. After class, she starts to complain about Hardin. Then, Landon reveals that he and Hardin are related to each other as his mother is dating with Hardin's father. One night, Tessa's friend Steph is getting a tattoo and asks Tessa to get one too. Tessa tells Steph that she's only ever dated Noah, and her mom thinks they'll get married someday. Later that night, Tessa sees Steph being romantic with her girlfriend and looks away. The next day, Tessa is getting coffee when Hardin approaches her. He wants to start fresh and be friends since they have a mutual friend in Steph. Hardin wants to take her somewhere, but she does not want to get too close to him. She is going to leave, but decides to go with him anyway. They drive a few miles away and arrive at a place that looked like a jungle. They walk a little further until Tessa sees a big lake. Hardin tells her it is his favorite spot and asks her to go swimming. He took off his clothes and jumped in, and insists she join him. He even offers her his shirt to wear. He looks away while she is changing, and then slowly helps her into the water. They had a good time swimming together. Tessa asks him who he loves the most, and he says he loves himself. Next, we see Hardin and Tessa at a bar and grill, receiving their food and discussing Hardin's disbelief in love. When Tessa asks about his family, Hardin becomes defensive and upset, causing Tessa to back off. Suddenly, Molly and Zed interrupt their conversation, making Hardin uneasy. Molly flirts with Hardin and asks for a ride, but he refuses and tells Zed to take her home. Molly tries to get a rise out of Tessa by touching Hardin, but he hands his car keys to her and tells her to wait outside. Hardin, Molly, and Zed stay at the table to talk, while Tessa goes to the bar. After a few minutes, Hardin joins Tessa and she asks him if he was embarrassed to be seen with her. He denies it and tells her that he doesn't date and that she should break up with Noah for herself, not for him. Tessa is shocked and angry, slamming his keys on the bar top before storming out. Hardin curses to himself, realizing he made a mistake. In the morning, Tessa wakes up in her dorm and has a dream about Hardin sitting next to her, but when she actually wakes up, he's not there. Later that day, her boyfriend surprises her by showing up outside her dorm with flowers, which she can't believe. At night, Tessa and Noah go to a party with Steph and her friends. They start playing the suck and blow game, but Tessa chooses not to participate. Noah becomes protective when Hardin intervenes and starts a fight before leaving. Later that night, Tessa watches a movie with Noah but becomes preoccupied with something on her mind. She receives a call from Landon and meets up with him, where she learns that Hardin got into a fight with Landon and mentioned her name. Landon tells her that Hardin is upset about his father marrying Landon's mother, while his own mother lives in a poor area in London. He breaks the glass and Tessa suffers an injury while trying to pick up broken glass. Feeling remorseful, he takes her to his room and apologizes for his previous behavior. During their conversation, they both acknowledge their personal struggles and a small romantic moment ensues, leading to Tessa spending the night in his room. The next day, Tessa returns to her dorm and is devastated to realize that her best friend, Noah, knows about her situation with Hardin and is left without saying a word. Throughout her classes, Tessa feels incredibly sad and tries to reach out to Noah, but to no avail. One day, Tessa unexpectedly sees Hardin outside and they decide to talk. During their conversation, Tessa shares with him the pain of her father leaving when she was just 10 years old, and how Noah has been there for her as both a best friend and something more. Later, Hardin makes Tessa stay at the library after closing hours and they have a fun time running away from security. Their growing relationship is noticed by their friends, and Hardin becomes increasingly affectionate towards Tessa, even interrupting her classes to compliment her beauty. Eventually, Tessa discovers that Hardin has been writing something in a notebook and she becomes curious to see it, but he teases her playfully. Shortly after, they began having romantic moments, but their happiness is interrupted when Tessa's mother caught them in a compromising position. The mother accuses Tessa of potentially ruining her life for the sake of a boy, which Tessa strongly opposed by saying that she would live her life on her own terms, not according to someone else's wishes. Her mother left, warning Tessa that her relationship with Hardin would only lead to heartbreak and isolation from her family. Tessa confides to Landon about the situation, but he warns her that Hardin is a complex person and that she should be cautious. Hardin, feeling responsible for Tessa's estrangement from her family, suggested they live together in a place belonging to a friend of his father's who was currently in Italy. They moves in and began to enjoy a happy relationship, spending quality time together and creating cherished memories. They attend a wedding party for Hardin and Landon's parents, where they met Karen and her father. However, the sight of his father with another woman upset Hardin, and Tessa tries to console him. During his father's speech, he praises Hardin but also reveals a troubling past event where he could not protect his mother from harm. This makes Hardin realize that even though his father had changed, some things would always remain the same. Later, Tessa and Hardin gaze into each other's eyes while dancing, and eventually retire to a room where Tessa decides to set the mood for a romantic evening. However, Tessa's friend Molly becomes jealous and begins to question her about Hardin. Tessa is hesitant to reveal too much, but later becomes suspicious after seeing a text from Molly on Hardin's phone. When she confronts Hardin about it, he assures her that there is nothing to hide and asks her to trust him. Feeling anxious, Tessa meets up with a friend who suggests she go to Videodrome to talk about her concerns regarding Hardin. There, she meets Jade who informs her that Hardin may be at Blind Bob's. Upon arriving, Tessa runs into Steph and her friends, where she reveals that she had been living with Hardin off campus. Molly shows Tessa a video from when they first played Truth or Dare, which reveals that Hardin had been given a dare to make Tessa fall in love with him and then turn it off. Tessa is devastated by this revelation, but Hardin insists that his feelings for her were genuine. Heartbroken, Tessa goes back to her mother's house and apologizes for everything that has happened. She then meets up with Noah and explains that she never meant to hurt him. Later, she decides to change her major from economics to English and receives an invitation for an internship at Vance Publishing. In class, Tessa is given an envelope from Hardin, containing pictures he drew for her and a letter expressing his love for her. He admits that he once thought love was just fiction until he met her and asks for her forgiveness. Tessa realizes that she is the person Hardin loves most in the world. In this way, movie ends here.